To the European Championships ladies, presented to you by Predator. This is day 6 of the action. Joining me in the booth is Gethin Davies, and we'll be talking you through hopefully a very exciting match. Gethin, how are you doing? Are you there, mate?
I am indeed, Pascal, and thank you for the kind introduction. We are faced with an 8-ball match between Alara Ghaffari, who is our current 10-ball champion, who won it yesterday, playing Lena Primus of Austria, and it looks like Lena's won the break. And I have yet to get a view of Lena's play, but I can tell you now, she is up against a tough opponent in the form of Alara Ghaffari. She came through in the 10-ball discipline, through Yasmin Ushan on the hill, and also won the final. And this will give us a good look at Lena. She had a good break there, Pascal.
Yeah, very good. Controlled, good spread, 1 ball down. Also typical open bridge. I think a lot of players nowadays, I see them do that just to get a little bit more elevation in the cue, especially when you don't have really big hands. That can be, well, a bit easier to do than with the closed bridge. Just get the cue ball pop a little bit. So, good chance, key shot kinda, if you land on the 2-ball.
Yeah, I agree, and with the 2-ball able to go from this camera angle into the pocket, she elected not to need to run into them, so she has a really good opportunity here.
So she left the angle on the 4 to go to the 2-ball. Pointing to it now. Also nice to maybe have a little bit of backup with the 1-ball in the side. But this is a little bit touchy. So I have to be careful here. Don't over or underrun it.
No, and I believe this is Lena's first match on the TV table, and she is showing no sign of jitters. This being the losers qualification bracket, she's had a couple of matches already, so has got a feel for the Aramith balls and the Simonis cloth. However, the TV table, Pascal, sometimes acts a little bit differently.
Yeah, I agree. The lights are a lot of times different or higher, or sometimes, well, a lot of times the TV table is just a little bit faster.
Is she going to run into the 15 here?
Well,
she avoided that well.
Pretty smart.
And if that 6 passes the 9, she had both options available for her. Awkward queuing over the 10 here. She needs to just be a little bit careful. That 6 may or may not pass. We'll find out now from the way she plays this shot.
This is not easy. Ah, yeah. That's awkward. Oh, and did she call a foul on herself? She was pointing to the ball there. Yeah, she did.
Great spot, Pascal. Yeah, unfortunate. She did need to do a little bit with that 1-ball to get over for the 6, and it was clearly just a little bit too much of an ask. And now we'll get to see Alara at the table.
I think it's always nice players announced that they made a foul instead of the referee. Very sportsmanlike. So don't see any problems, especially for the reigning European 10-ball champion here. Should say she's okay.
She'll be very keen to punish this mistake at this early stage and really set her stall out. One thing it's important to note to our viewers at home, that this is alternate break, so if you can break and hold your break, you really do put the pressure on the opponent's break. And just one other thing to note, there is a shot clock in play on the TV table, and they are both allowed one extension per rack per player. And as we were watching in the final, Alara is very, very composed around the table, Pascal.
Yeah, I was just thinking, the cue ball on the rail, you know, that's one of those balls where you know you should make it, and you make it like 9 out of 10, but at this first, I mean, in the first rack, sometimes it can get away from you a bit, but she played that very nice, very composed, like you said, get in.
Indeed, and let's not forget, Alara had 2 matches on the TV table yesterday, so any jitters that she may have had, she will have certainly have got rid of them, and I think she's demonstrating that now. Let's see the pace of her cue ball here.
Yeah, that looks very good. You could see her winning the 10 ball with this kind of level.
Absolutely. As you are watching there from our great overhead view, the tables in the arena, in the Kalevi arena, are all tapped, so you're able to rack without a rack. Sounds silly to say, but yeah. And it is rack your own, and as mentioned before, alternate break. And Alara just breaking off center. Let's see how she gets on here.
Oh, just missed side pocket with the cue ball and missed it again.
Absolutely.
It's a very, very good chance here for Lena to stamp her authority on this match. Oh, you have to say, like, getting against the champion of the 10 ball from yesterday. You want to put a lot of pressure on her.
Absolutely, Pascal. And I was watching her eyeing up the solids there, but that one ball, I think, is just a little bit too precocious, and she's elected to go for the stripes, which I think is the better choice. Is there a gap between the 7 and the 5? I do not think so.
Well, it looks like she played for it, so don't think it's a whole pocket, so have to stay still here. Keep your head down. Wow. Well, you can see there when they went in, that was very, very tight.
Those were tight margins. I do love the overhead camera view. It really does give you an accurate perspective, and she hit that with a lot of authority and was in danger of running a bit too far if she was coming for this 15, but however has held it. Good position. And that's just enough.
very good here. I would say, well, is he straight on the 9 here? Otherwise, I would say like 9, 10. Is he shooting the 9 here? Yeah. So 9, 10, 11. So 10 ball, then 11 in the same pocket, I would say. However, does he have enough angle to come over? Have to force it a little bit now. Thought she was gonna leave it a little bit closer with a bigger angle to just float it over to the 11 in the same pocket.
Yeah, I think that's her best option here, Pascal. And the 3 is just a little in the way. A little wince from Lena there.
Yeah, she's lucky. If she would elect to go over to the 11 in the same pocket, she can apply a little bit of right hand spin, which makes the cueing a little bit easier. But she's going forward here, leaving the 11 to last. Now, great shot.
Really
good recovery.
Could she find a gap, or at least punch a hole through the 1 and the 8 here?
I think she can just draw back a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's a bit straighter than it looked from.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was the best she could have got from there without bringing the 2 into play, so she's just gonna have to give away a little bit more distance between the cue ball and the 8 ball, unless, of course, she decides to put a bit of whiz on it. No.
I think that was a good call. Don't take the risk with traveling all the way. This is a little bit more difficult, especially with the 1 ball. Can she just go forward and not collide into the 1 ball? Otherwise it can be dangerous with scratch. So putting on the draw just to be sure. Oh,
yeah,
just rattled.
I think she had to, worrying about the in-off, as you quite rightly brought up, I think she decided, I'm going to have to go in with a little bit more power and draw, and that always adds the level of difficulty to the shot. And I'm not too sure if Alara was expecting to be out of the chair, but she'll be very happy with that.
Well, she was maybe a little bit too relaxed on that shot, knowing she would never give up like an easy 8 with the 4 being there. But still, will be disappointed with this.
Yeah, of course, and if Lena does bank this in, Alara will be very disappointed with that last shot.
Well, for how many balls there are on the table, it's kinda like they're all a little bit funny.
Would you have hit that previous shot a bit softer, Pascal, with maybe leaving the cue ball left behind the 4? I'm not too sure. I just felt that was a little bit too strong.
Well, she made it look easy there. I think the 1 was even blocking a little bit of the pocket.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Pascal.
Something about her. Yeah, it tells you something about her sharp shooting.
Well, when she faced Yasmin in the semi-finals, which I had the pleasure of commentating on, Yasmin was matching her punch for punch, and it just took a few unfortunate mistakes for Alara to capitalize, and it was a very, very solid performance. It'd be interesting to see if 8 ball is part of her forte as well.
Yeah, it are 2 different games, of course. requires also a different set of skills, also a little bit of a different mindset. So,
and it can really bring out their control of the cue ball, especially when there's a lot of traffic on the table.
yeah, you could say that some players are like pretty typical good 8-ball players, mostly cue ball players, or good with
Absolutely.
their positions. If you play good, you have to play less shot making, but a lot of good cue ball positioning.
Alara made that tricky 8 look easy and takes a 2-0 lead. And with alternate break, Tim de Ruyter, a good colleague of ours, with a very knowledgeable brain of the game, picked up on the fact that once you get to the halfway stage, or at least a 3-0 lead in the ladies' discipline case, it can really put the pressure on your opponent. And with alternate break, he does consider the 3-0 lead putting them in a favourite position for winning. So Lena will be keen to not let Alara get to that point. And that was a very useful break. Look at the spread there.
I missed the ball. Which ball fell?
Ooh, quickly answering that.
Because
The pink stripe, the 12. Looking very quickly at the table. What do you think she's thinking about there, where the 15 is?
Well, I think obviously the 8-ball is only available in the upper left, maybe in the left side. So, but I would have liked to play the 9-ball at this moment, unless the 15 is frozen to the rail, which it maybe is.
Well, as you could see there from the overhead, she didn't have the full centre pocket. It looks like she's leaving herself shape for this 3.
Yeah, I like going for the solids. She can do something. She can bump into the 8 maybe a little bit now. I think maybe she tried it, but just had a little bit more spin than intended.
It looks like she's just rolled far enough for the 9 to come into play, which, if she was considering the 5 as a backup, that is now no longer a backup. And looking from here, Pascal, I don't think the 4 can get inside that bottom right corner. As you can see here, that is, on these Predator Arc tables, a tight pocket to contend with.
Yeah, definitely. These pockets, they play really fair, but when they're not big, it's 4¼ inch. So that's not big by any means. Oh, she did have the 7. How's the bump?
Yeah,
Wow.
Did she bump it hard enough?
I think there is this really tough shot on the 2 available where she makes it in the middle with elevated cue, striking down. Not easy. Oh, so close. So interesting to see here, getting the 15, and I don't know, do you know the shot where the 15 is stuck to the point on the rail, where you can, if you're straight on it, can force it through the rubber by just punching it really hard, really firm. So maybe if that's the case, she can make the 15. but is it frozen to the rail, and does she know the shot? That's the question, or the questions.
Well, she had a little look at it at the start of her visit, and yes, I am aware of the ability to do that. I will be honest, I've never been able to recreate it myself, Pascal. So
well, it is pretty easy, but she also has an option now to just flick it a little bit. Yeah, great.
Lovely.
Great.
Yep, she played that delightfully and even kept good cue ball, knowing that she would have a good chance of this 11 ball.
So next challenge is the 9.
Yeah, may have wanted to come over a little bit more there. I think that was the best she could get from the previous ball.
Immediately went looking at the corner. Easier to play position. Oh,
and the cue ball.
The cue ball. So mistake from the European 10-ball champion, and chance there for Lena to get her first rack on the board.
Yeah, she will be tickled pink to be back to the table, because Alara was looking for the world that she was going to take a 3-0 lead. Now, can Lena compose herself and close this one out?
Yeah, it's still, I mean, for a first rack, the 8-ball is only available, I think, in the, in this corner, lower left corner. So, have to make sure to leave an angle in which it is easy to hold for that corner, maybe for one of the top or the side, but she looks pretty good, I think. Yeah, there we have this nice overhead view again, get in.
Yeah, she's gonna need to play this very well to get the position for the 8-ball. She's just running away a little.
So, bit of pressure for the first rack. Missed an 8-ball already.
Yeah, we'll not want to repeat that, Pascal.
Oh,
that is solid. And so, what looked like Alara running away with this has now just been snuffed out somewhat by Lena Primus, and it will be interesting to see how Alara responds with her break now.
yeah, that's game on. This still has every chance of getting a very, very tight match.
The cue ball was tracking.
Cue ball.
Yep. Good spot, Pascal. It just missed the center pocket, and that didn't bode well. It bounced right up into the opposite corner, and so Lena, her eyes must be widening at this.
Yeah, so ball in hand in the kitchen, so not on the whole table. With 8-ball after the break, you get ball in hand in the kitchen for the new pool fans among us. So you have to hit a ball outside of the kitchen, so outside of the line where you're breaking from.
And she looks like she's going for the stripes, which I think is the best decision here. From this angle, it appears the 13 passes the one ball into that corner pocket, and that makes this a very makeable clearance.
Yeah, just this little stunt draw shot she played it so good. She got an easy 15 because the window wasn't really big between the 6 and the 4. Sometimes you don't really feel the table. You're a little bit nervous. You can underhit or overhit the kind of shot. But a little bit more work to do here.
I think this is the key shot, Pascal. I think this is the key shot with where the 12 ball is. She's going to need to pick either the 9 or the other stripe for one of them pockets. I believe so. I think she's going to need to really move the cue ball down here and make a decision. She doesn't want to be halfway to either.
I think she can just draw it in between the 6 and the 7, but does the 12 pass the 9? If not, she has to put a little bit more draw on this. I think she's just okay.
I think if the 12 passes the 9, or she might even have a gap through to the other stripe.
Oh, it's so tough to see. Even though we have, of course, this great production, it's sometimes still is hard to see. Well, she's taking on the 12. Oh. It obviously went, otherwise she wouldn't have taken it on. But did she get lucky there?
I think she did, Pascal, and maybe because it was so tight, she even played it in such a way that if she did miss, she would end up with a good cue ball. And this is a tricky situation for Alara here. She'll be looking to get a really good cue ball.
Oh, cue ball again. Oh no.
That's such a shame. Is that 2 scratches in 2 racks?
No, it's 3. Actually, I think. Or let me think. She had the scratch on the break.
Of course she did. Yes, you're right.
Is that 3 scratches then in a row? Well, either way, she gave away the initiative a few times now, so she's still 2-1 up, but that won't be for long.
No. She does need to get good shape on this 8. I think if she plays this way, she can come off and bring the cue ball up towards that 5.
You can also see her picking up the pace a little bit, about how she's about the table, walking a bit faster, a little bit more of a dominant stride, you could say.
That is a perfect pickup, Pascal. She is indeed. And I wonder if that's her normal game. And after giving Alara the due respect that she needed, maybe Lena's decided, this is mine. I'm having this.
Yeah, sometimes you can have a word with yourself right in your chair, like saying, okay, enough is enough. Now I'm gonna start playing my own game. It looked kinda like she had that talk with herself.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were right to point out her body language, the pace, a little bit of a bounce around the table, or a strut even, I would say. And while we look at the star-studded hall here at the Kalevi Hall, this arena looks beautiful, and you can see the other TV table just in the background there. Looking fantastic here, Pascal.
It looks amazing. The whole venue Predator did such a great job. And they really know how to sell pool. It looks how it should look, I think, for the European Championships. Look at that break. Great cue ball control. Does he has a ball on the breaks? He doesn't.
No.
So the drama continues there. Getting.
She hit that break fantastic, Pascal. She's very unlucky to not get anything from that. Look at the cue ball. Alara's got options here, and she will be hoping to not let Lena take a lead. But yeah, you were right about the arena. The facilities, by all accounts, our colleague Mark White, who lived in Tallinn, has just been explaining it's vast and such good facilities, and with it being the European City of Sport for 2025, I can imagine there are going to be some further great events. The next one we will be bringing to you ourselves. I believe it is the Predator Euro Tour.
Yeah. Yeah, still a lot to come.
Yeah, we're only on day 6, as you alluded to in the introduction there, Pascal. I was mentioning to Graham in our first match this morning, we are at the halfway stage. Ooh, delicate shot on the 9. The 12 ball, Pascal, as we look at it from this camera angle.
Yeah. It should be fine from somewhere around the middle of the table. A little bit of a thin cut, but this one isn't easy. Also long bridge, bridging over the 8 ball, inside spin, or going around the angles. Just rolling it in. This is pretty smart. But
I think so too.
He just has the wrong angle a little bit. To leave a long ball, a long cut shot on the 12.
Ooh. She came a bit too far with the cue ball as well. Maybe she was expecting to contact something on the way to slow it down.
Yeah, maybe the 4. Yeah, you have to say, when you're Lena and you're playing the current 10-ball champion, you'll be happy. She is in some kind of trouble clearing the racks. So just take every opportunity you get.
She just had a little wry smile as she stood over there, and she's come back round to have a look at her options. I think she was hoping to be a little bit different on this 4.
Yeah, I think it wasn't smile, genuine smile.
Yeah, and as you see, the cue balls run down here, and I think she's looking at taking on the long 5 ball.
You know what I also maybe like, but I don't know, maybe it's a little bit negative, but you could take the 7 and play for a kind of short position on the 5 or the 3 in the lower left. Just a little bit of safety in mind, kinda.
I do like that idea.
Unless you can make that shot.
Exactly. She had other thoughts, but yeah, I did like that. I did like that idea, and it is a bit more containing. However, I did like them 2 balls over there to block Alara's chances of hitting her balls at this end of the table. However, she played a great 5.
And this is a nice shot. If you stun it over a little bit, it's even if you miss, you're not gonna give anything away. But this went all the way to the point of the middle pocket, which makes it a lot harder to play a nice position. Have to settle for, well, I don't know, for a longer 2, but you're gonna bump into the 12. This is not over, Gethin. This is pretty tough.
Yeah, she just lost the cue ball a bit.
Yeah, smart shot here, I think.
I think so too. I think she can't see the pink 12 ball there, so this will have to be her option. Was there a chance she could pot this? Can she see enough? Ooh, Pascal, did you see what I saw?
Is she looking at the billiard to the short rail? Or is he going for the real first shot? I mean, it's just...
Keeping you guessing, isn't it?
Yeah. Or is that a four-railer? Oh, she could make it.
She could indeed, and she will be unlucky if the cue ball rests against that cushion. However, great shot, and there is a chance to nip this one back where it looked forever like it was going to be Lena's rack. Very nice. I did like how she stayed down in that shot.
Yeah, this one will definitely hurt. I thought she played the really clever safety there from that position on, but it's not a safety when your opponent can make the ball.
No,
so mentally that will be tough.
I think you were right though. That was the shot over keeping the cue ball at that side of the table. It just wasn't good enough. However, it did look like that was a tight shot to take on. But she did.
Yeah, for me it kind of looked like it wasn't on. So
I did like the Chris Melling shout out for the four-railer, Pascal. That would have been a beauty.
Yeah. One of the most legendary 8-ball racks ever played, if not the most legendary 8-ball rack ever played, at least in an official match, I think.
Well, you never know what we might see here today, Pascal.
Until today, I meant to say.
Now.
So does the 8-ball go into the lower right corner? I think so. So in that case, you should say she's gonna pick the solids.
Yeah. That 8 looks pretty frozen there, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's available from where the cue ball is now. So, kind of like a stop shot here, play the 4. But all depends on how she feels.
Yeah, you can see her
it's
just
nice to open that pocket up also for the 5.
You could see Lena bopping her head as she was counting through the shots in her pattern. And I think she knows that she needs to get this 4 out of the way. And how has she left it?
Wow, I think she hit that a little bit too thick. Playing position for the 5. Sometimes also when you're stretching, playing that little bit of inside spin, just because of the stretch, lost a bit of spin maybe. So the long one ball here. Well, made that look effortlessly.
Yeah, and she's looking at the 6 to 7, and then a little tricky situation to navigate with the 5 and the 3. Oh,
what happened there was, I think, she unintentionally hit that rail first. So
yeah,
she's kind of well, laughing it off. But she kind of missed the shot, I think, and then it went in real first, but the cue ball went way different than she wanted, of course. So still a chance. Just forget about it and try to make the best of the new situation.
She will have to come up with a big shot here, though, I feel, Pascal.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, the angle was just a little bit small.
No,
Tried
it was.
to force it a little bit.
She wasn't short of action with the cue ball, though, so that was looking promising. However, Laura was just checking to see if that 11 ball, the red stripe, would pass the 10 into the corner pocket. Maybe she doesn't like that situation.
Oh, that wobbled his way in.
Back home in Wales, we would say it wiped its feet on the way in.
Yeah.
Now, what is she going to do with that cluster by the black? She's going to have to come into it soon. Sooner rather than later, I would imagine.
Well, so maybe 15 and then create a...
Oh,
create
maybe.
something now, maybe. Can she draw into it? I think it's a little bit too thin to go directly. She has to go to the short rail. She want to go now. Or is she playing for the 10? No, she went into them. And how's the 14?
Oh, how far did that leak?
So she played it perfect, but I have to say the 8 ball is only available in one corner, I think. Yeah, the 3 ball is blocking.
Ooh. Well, an unfortunate miss for Alara, but I will say, Pascal, she played that shot to split open the cluster of 3 there really well and went into it with a lot of confidence. Was very fortunate in some respects, aside from the 8. However, a little lapse in judgment, and Lena is faced with a tricky 7.
Wow, this is very, very difficult.
Is this coming up and down, Pascal?
Well, I would like to hit it as thick as possible and spin it to the right to leave the cut on the 7. Yeah, this is always tough. Cue ball. Oh, she went for the brave shot, going 4 or 5 rail position, which the line was there. Just hit it a little bit too thin, I think. Oh, that was a brave shot to take on.
Yeah, that was a gutsy shot, Pascal. But with ball in hand, Alara is looking to capitalize on that mistake. So her missed shot saved her for this visit.
Oh, she hit that so thin, she almost missed it, and you can see it also in the position. So, a bit tougher. 12 ball should be okay. But the drama continues, get in.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to hit that thick. And a little wry smile from Lena as she gets out of her chair. And this is not an easy shot.
So don't forget, of course, this is loser's qualification. So loser is out of the tournament. So only the winner of this match will go through. Yeah, I think that's very smart. Don't force it. There was maybe a 4-railer available or a very thin cut. But
do you think she'll have to bank? Will she bank this past the 7, Pascal?
Wow. I like to bank it towards the 7, but...
Correct. Just a little too far. She was on the right line if she wanted to go for it.
Yeah, I think maybe it was better to go long with maybe the snooker behind the 8 ball. But this is where the shot clock also is hard to fade sometimes. Try to spin the ball in with the right hand English. But, well, I think both ladies are feeling the pressure at the moment, being on the TV table for place in the last 32.
And it's sudden death, as you rightly said. All the pressure on these shots now. Well, that was authoritative.
Yeah, I like that. Thought she would float over to the 8 ball in the same pocket, but shot that with authority, like you said. And that was a very clean 8 ball. So big difference here. Lara getting 4-2 up instead of 3-3. Lena taking the timeout. Smart move, maybe settle the nerves a little bit. Tell yourself that it isn't over. So, What do you think of this match so far, Gatin?
Well, you know, you've just pointed out Lena's gone for a break, and I think it's an opportune moment to do that. There was some good chances for both players, and Alara finds herself with a 2-rack lead and will be itching to get to the hill. This is a race to 6, and with it being elimination time, you quite rightly mentioned, I think the girls are feeling a bit of pressure, and it could just be the one that rises above that and knocks it off their shoulders. As we look over at the other TV table now, who I believe is Caustic versus Gangflot, and I have yet to look at the men's score. I have been eagerly looking through the lady scores. Interesting to note that the lady that Alara Ghaffari beat in the final is still in this, playing in the losers qualification. Sarah Rocha from Portugal, and she's playing Ivana Sabarik, and over in that match it looks like the finalist from the 10 balls, Sarah Rocha, is 4-1 up. So it's a lot of tables, 28 tables here in the Kalevi Arena, and it's all happening, Pascal. As for what you think, or rather what I think will happen next, well, I think it's the break that's going to be the tell for Lena, and let's see what happens after this first break.
Yeah, Lena has had some very nice opportunities, not all very easy, but at least she had opportunities, and that's always a lot harder to take when you miss those opportunities. So I think it's very smart that she's taking a timeout before it is already too late. Try to maybe get the frustration out a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And with it being alternate break, it there is always a chance for momentum to change, and as it's Lena's break now, she will be looking to not let Lara get to the hill. And that will start with this break. Just running her fingers up the side, making sure she's happy with the balls all being tight. But I have been impressed with her break. She has got a lot of power.
So there she goes with the open hand bridge. And is that a Predator PK Rush in pink there, Catherine?
I think it is, and you don't see many of them in pink.
Wow, that looks special.
Well, she made a ball in the center pocket. It looked like there was a second ball going to track it in, but it didn't. She's left with choices here and no real immediate problems to consider. So, dare I say, a great opportunity to pull it back to 1.
Yeah, don't be surprised if she would shoot the break and run here, that Lara then on her turn takes a timeout after this one.
Yep.
This is a must make for Lena to really put some pressure on Lara. She missed a few already, and if you're Lena, you're looking to keep that pressure really on to force maybe another mistake. On the other hand, Lara will be hoping for some unforced errors at Lena's side, of course.
Yeah, exactly. And we know that Lena is more than capable of potting. However, she sometimes has a tendency just to leave a difficult one during her pattern. So if she can just snuff that out, she gives herself every chance, not just with this rack, but with any other opportunity she gets. So this is
and
10
also,
ball or the 9?
Well, I like the 9 ball here, if it is available. And the reason I say that is because it's easier to control. When you shoot the 10 ball in the middle, you're gonna run into the 4. You need to hope for a nice position.
She really doesn't need to do too much with the 10 here. A little stop shot would be ideal. Maybe not allowing the 5 to get in the way of her cueing. Great stuff.
Yeah, this is what I like. Just to, you can feel it, but just go ahead and watch. Just make sure you know where you want the cue ball to be, especially when it's easy. No reason to make any easy mistakes.
Yeah, I don't think she was happy with the cue ball. It seemed to come off a little bit slower than she hoped. So she's now bringing out the Predator rest, which when it's up this way it looks like a moose.
Yeah, they also sometimes call it a moose head, right?
Well, it's understandable why, and she's used it to great effect here, and she's taken what she could get on the 8 and a little nod of appreciation from herself. She's leaving herself a tester for this 8.
Oh, this is far from easy.
Yeah. I think this is probably her toughest 8 ball. How has she hit it? I think... yeah. She turns around with slight disappointment. However, that was a real tough shot, and she should not beat herself up about that. Lara doesn't have any immediate problems.
was really tough. Tough shot. I think she beat herself up a bit more about the position on that second last ball.
Yeah, and 7-1. But again, it's down to preference at this stage.
Yeah, she could draw back and do stop shot, or she could go 5-4 and then leave a cut shot on the 1. She wants to draw back here. And I think straight edge is good. Came up a little bit short here, Gethin.
Yeah. And I don't think, unless she can dig into the cue ball, I don't think she can push the cue ball around the 3 rails.
I think the 8 ball is maybe, well, maybe she can just miss the 8 ball, go 3 rails.
That's what she's gone for, Pascal.
Wow, that was close to the side pocket.
That it was. And she just had a little look upwards. This is the important shot now.
So is she playing up and down or just roll it in? Oh, can you believe it? Get in.
Wow. No, I can't believe it, but that was a really tricky pot, quite similar to Lena's earlier 8. This is not as tricky. Big deep breath.
So decided to play low cue ball. Wow.
Great. Very good
It's a
shot.
great shot. And to keep the dream alive for this Predator European Championship 8-ball title. And here we can also see, I mean, these women are very, very good. But when you look at the pressure of a European Championship, anything can happen, right?
Absolutely, and we are now getting to the business end of the game. And when I mean that, if Alara were to win on her break now... Ooh, Pascal de Smit!
You believe this? Oh my goodness, it... Wow. Momentum shifted, I feel, towards Lena. Can she take advantage of this momentum? Because Alara there, she's already switched from the point from where she was breaking, but now lost the cue ball again and then it got kicked in. It's a little bit unlucky. But
She's just had
big
a
chance
look
here
at
for Lena.
Yeah, Pascal, she just had a little look at the 7 ball there to see if it passes. And I'm wondering if that's going to force her to go stripes. And that means there's a little bit of work to do down by this 8 ball.
So she... Wow. There you can see some solid stroke. She played that positive.
I think she might be looking for some action off the 9 ball here to maybe push over onto the 8 ball.
Well, played it well. But is the 8 ball in the way?
Do you know what? I think from that camera angle it could be. That 8 ball did start leaking towards that pocket. Probably best she didn't hit it much harder than that.
So where she's pointing, I think that's very smart. If she can get any kind of straight-ish on the 13 to play it in the upper right, she could play stop shot for the 12. Key shot. Wow.
Delicate stuff, Pascal. Ooh.
So can she bump into the 7 and hold the cue ball Over there, I feel like she can, with a little bit of topspin, she could bump softly into the 7. Holding it for the 12 in the lower left. Oh, she is okay-ish.
Well, she did hold it enough, and there is a pot on, but it's a tricky one if she's going to go for this. Big shot.
Oh, look at how stretched she is over the table. Oh, that's a skill on its own, get in.
Well, that looked like gymnastics to me.
Yeah.
Very well done, and the position she's left herself now, I don't think she needs to do too much with this cue ball and just push it down towards that 3 ball. Got to be careful of the blue too.
So, is she straight? Oh, I think best is maybe just play the stop shot. Ensure yourself of a shot on the 8 ball. Yeah.
It looks like she would be, if she pushes the cue ball here, she will be contending with the 6. Is that the angle that she's given, or is she straight? It's just a little bit difficult to pick up from. We'll find that out from her body language now. Yeah.
So, are you drawing back with the risk of getting snookered behind the 7 maybe? Or being hampered by the 3? Or do you leave the cue ball over there for a bit of a tougher shot? Oh, she took the risk and I think played a rack winning shot here.
Oh, she had very little room there coming off that long cushion.
Oh, and almost overcut the 8 ball. But that was very good. Seen the circumstances, this is nail-biting stuff, get in.
This is like a final. It's fantastic. I mean,
we went like talking softer and softer because of the tension in this match. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and Lena will start thinking she's got a real good chance here. She's making shots, she's making the difficult shots, and she's starting to find a little bit more position than maybe she was finding earlier in this match. And let's see where and how she breaks, Pascal, with her pink BK Rush Predator.
Yeah, must be some kind of limited edition, I feel. I've never seen it before.
Well, she's putting it to great effect, Pascal, and she's made one in the center pocket. She's left with a couple of scenarios to consider. And also, if that 9 isn't available, she might have a tricky opener.
Yeah, how about that 7-12? Yeah, you can see good from this camera angle. 12 is blocked. Oh, how unlucky can you get?
Yeah, I think she's forced herself into this 11 ball, Pascal, and I don't believe that's what she wanted, so...
Well, at least she has a shot. So what do you think about getting some draw in and try to open up that 12? I don't know if that's available, because maybe you're close to making a foul on the 13 if you put in the right hand spin.
Yeah, I agree, but she's going to need to do something. Maybe move that 7 ball. Something is going to have to happen down there. So how Lena gets to that is going to be interesting.
think somewhere around where the 2 is, that kind of angle. Oh no! Yeah, she was so focused on fixing that problem, get a nice angle on the 15, that she took her eye off the pot.
And you know what? I think, unfortunately, she got the right position on the 15, Pascal. I mean, that looks pretty good from there, so that's unfortunate.
So Alara, faced with the same problem with the 7, especially with the 10 ball where it is now. Oh, how about that for a little nudge? Is he still on the 7?
I think she might be. It'll be a thin cut, but how do you like the confidence with that shot? And I have to say, she played a couple of them against Jasmine Ushan in the semi-finals I was commentating on, and she does not fear running into other balls.
Oh,
that was a more difficult pot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is unfortunate for Alara. Lena's got a stretch on here, but as we saw before...
Yeah, she's pretty tall, I think.
Yeah, she's got a long reach on her.
I don't think... I'm pretty sure I couldn't reach that.
Well, I can pretty much guarantee
one
that
of the...
Extension. So, I kind of like her chances of forcing this cue ball around, but she's going to need to come a bit further than she's normally looking to come, I think.
I think the 8 ball is pretty big. You have to land just above the side pocket on the long rail, I feel, to be good.
Yep, here she goes.
Hard. Oh, she goes all the way. Got rewarded for her bravery. Wow, that's a great outcome.
Like that was really, really good. And I can see Lena making it out from here and really asking questions of Alara. Oh, she's going to have to go 15 here, I think.
Seeing how the match has gone so far, this is not over. Really have to focus on these last 3 balls. 4-4 for a place on the hill. Oh, just with the stretch. Maybe a little bit too much spin, maybe a little bit of nerves.
Yeah, I agree. And as you pointed out, that was to reach the hill, and that would have been playing in the back of her mind. Alara Ghaffari will be eager to not let Lena get to the hill first.
Yeah, and I think this is a little bit how the match went so far. Like both making a few mistakes, then a big opportunity for Lena to get some momentum going, or to go in front, maybe even like just now, and then just missing a shot on a tough moment, and then Alara can clean up and go in front again. So, but definitely this is a high pressure match, that's for sure. Oh, she looks so composed, Katin. What do you think? She looks like she's just, you know, practicing a little bit. Oh, was that just a little sign she wanted to draw back a little bit? You could see in her facial expressions that she was not happy with it. Still should be okay, but sometimes, oh, can affect your next shot.
Did not touch the sides.
Very nicely done.
So this has a very good chance of going hill-hill, and I'm sure that is what Alara is hoping for. It is her break. It's going to be the most important part for her to play. And
so, but this could go all the way, get in.
Oh, absolutely. That would be fantastic, not just for the viewers at home, but for us in the commentating booth. And I have to say, while we're playing 8-ball, this is one of my favorite disciplines to commentate. There are so many options that you get to talk about. It's been a fun 2 days already.
Yeah, I totally agree. From a commentary standpoint, 8-ball is very, very nice to commentate on.
That is a very, very useful break.
So, this European 10-ball champion with the first chance to go through to the last 32. She didn't hook herself behind the oh. So I thought she played position on the 5. So I have to go to the 6 now.
I think she was playing position for the 5 there. Maybe she could do it off this 2, but she clearly has got such a nice shape on this 3 here. She may start that way.
Well, the thing is, you make a path, you know, after the break, you think like, I'm gonna go this, and that. And then if the first shot forces you to go another path, then suddenly that shot clock is ticking a bit harder. Sometimes, especially when you're on the hill and your opponent is breathing in your neck.
Yeah, and that was a very good shot. Alara was bridging on the joint of her cue. That was phenomenal.
Well, you as a tall person obviously don't know the struggles of small people get in, but that's where the gloves come in.
No, but it was a tough shot, and she followed it up with a good pot. Looking for a good angle on this 2. And she may have come a bit too far, but maybe a bit too far, Pascal, maybe.
Can she?
A bump on the 10?
Yeah. That would be very nice, otherwise it's gonna be a cut shot.
Yes, very good.
So this 8-ball for a place in the last 32 to keep the dream alive for this title of the 8-ball European Championship. And unfortunately for Lena, she fought really hard. She fought very brave, but just came up short again.